Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Could we XRP holders finally get what we want? Could we finally have Kim Gensler fired as SEC supreme leader and dictator? Could we have somebody else put in charge that is actually pro-crypto and has our interests in mind? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing here. So you may have heard by now that there was a speech by former President Trump at the Bitcoin conference, and he said some things. I'm going to highlight a lot of those things, but look at the headline here from Cointelegraph. Trump pledges to fire SEC Chair Gary Ginzler on day one if reelected. Ah, yes, but can he even do that? And is he just pandering to us? Lots to discuss, but before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, just to set the table a little bit, to make sure that you know of a couple key things that were being discussed leading up to this, because there were a lot of rumors. Now, RFK Jr. also running for president, but has a snowball's chance in hell of that actually coming to fruition. He will not be the president. I'm not saying anything, for or against him as a candidate. I'm just speaking in terms of reality. It is not going to happen. But here's a headline from the other day. RFK Jr. promises Bitcoin strategic reserve, dollar backed by hard assets. And so he announced something pretty extreme, maybe you want to call it. He's proposed. He said that if he's president, that he's going to issue an executive order that would result in purchasing 550 Bitcoin per day until the United States has a reserve of at least 4 million Bitcoin. And the reason he picked that is because that's 19% of the total Bitcoin supply, which is insane. But he says, and this is a fact I didn't know at the time, he said that the United States has 19% of global gold reserves, so I understand why he decided he's just going to copy that figure. Then it's like, okay, whatever. Also true that it would take literally over 20 years for that to happen if you were able to purchase 550 Bitcoin per day. Now, of course, the price 20 years from now, if Bitcoin's going to continue to be long-term viable, way higher. So the bar to hitting that, perhaps impossible. But anyway, so he put that out there. Now, I don't think it's surprising that a candidate who has basically a 0% chance of winning would put out some sort of, if you want to call it policy that would be implemented. In this case, it would be an executive order. But, the fact that he would state that publicly and he feels comfortable doing that, not surprising. Now, if you know there's a real chance that you're going to potentially be the president of the United States, in this case for Trump again, do you actually say something like that? And I said, I think there's a very low chance, probably close to 0% chance that Trump would follow through with this. And because there were rumors that he would. There were rumors leading up to this that he would say, hey, we're going to have Bitcoin, we're going to have a strategic reserve. And that did not happen, although he did something. He spoke about Bitcoin reserve, so more on that in just a minute, but I want to do this in a particular order. And then there was also this. From Cointelegraph, no Bitcoin strategic reserve announcement from Senator Loomis, Bitcoin 2024. And so Republican Bitcoin maximalist Cynthia Loomis, not a big fan of her, not a big fan. I know she's pro Bitcoin, but she's not broadly pro crypto. She's made that very clear. There's a rumor that she was going to be pushing a bill that would actually result in an actual strategic reserve. So Bitcoin being used, if it were to be presented and then ultimately passed by Congress, it would, and signed by the president, of course, it would then result in the United States having Bitcoin as an official reserve asset. And so I said, I don't know if she's going, leading up to this, I said, I don't know if she's actually going to do this. If she does, okay, but still, I wouldn't expect Trump to just jump on board and back something like this. But if she wants to do this, and maybe it's just to get some headlines as to that, maybe she does, I don't know. And she didn't. That leads us to today, and more on the reserve stuff in just a second here, but can we talk about Gary Gensler and some of the other stuff that went down? Because there's lots of people, while excited about this speech, some are also saying, a lot of pandering going on here, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But the headline here from Cointelegraph, Trump pledges to fire SEC Chair Gary Ginzler on day one if re-elected. Republican Party presidential nominee and former President Donald Trump promised immediate policy changes if he should defeat prospective Democratic Party nominee Vice President Kamala Harris in November's United States presidential election. At the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee on July 27th, Trump addressed a crowd of Bitcoiners who had waited more than an hour to hear the former president speak after he claimed the Secret Service needed additional time at the venue. The Republican candidate laid out a plan for crypto policy should he win in November, which included removing United States Securities and Exchange Commissioner Chair Gary Gensler on day one and appointing a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council. Okay, that all sounds good. It sounds good, right? We want Gary Gensler gone. He is a spawn of Satan, winged creature from the depths of hell. So we would like that thing to not be in charge of the SEC. That would be a win. I think we all agree on that, right? Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council, sure. You don't need to call it a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council. You don't need to have the name. You don't even need to have Bitcoin in there. Maybe just cryptocurrency would be sufficient. It's all encompassing then, right? But the Bitcoin, he's playing to the Bitcoiners, the Bitcoin maxi crowd out there. I understand. Then he says, the moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. I will appoint a new SEC chairman who believes that America should build the future, not block the future. And so I'll say this, and more about pandering a little bit later, but just I'll say here, even if he's pandering, like, what matters, it's the actions ultimately. And so I have a suspicion that, broadly speaking, a lot of the pro-crypto stuff they'd follow through because, I mean, it's at this point, it's effectively an official party platform on the Republican side to be pro-crypto. And you can see that Republicans, anything crypto-related that has to be voted on, it's overwhelmingly almost either 100% or almost 100% of Republicans are voting in favor of this. I'd be surprised if Trump would pay this lip service and then not follow through. But let's go on. We'll circle back to that because I'm going to share an opposing viewpoint from a well-known figure in the world of crypto who says, hey, we're looking at it the wrong way. Because I like to share diverse viewpoints on the channel. But anyway, many at the crypto event seem to respond positively to Trump's announcement. Industry leaders have often criticized Gensler as being responsible for the SEC's ongoing enforcement action against many crypto firms, including Ripple, Coinbase, and Binance. Though the SEC chair's term ends in June 2026, a change in administration, either with Trump or Harris, could result in Gensler leaving the commission. And I'll pause to note that's what happened with Jay Clayton. He left at the end of 2020, and that's why the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit was filed when it was. It was on Jay Clayton's very last day. If we hadn't had a change in administration several years ago and Trump had continued on, I don't think you would have seen that lawsuit, at least not then. It wouldn't have made sense because I don't think that they had to kind of rush it to whatever degree. It could have been months later. It could have been a year later. It could have been after the bull run. Maybe XRP would have participated and run to a new all-time high last cycle, in fact. And we'll never know. We can only speculate. But yeah, Gensler absolutely may just leave of his own free will once this happens because it's not going to be a fun or friendly environment for him if indeed there is a change here in terms of Trump actually winning. Anyway, piece continues. Gemini co-founder and Trump supporter Tyler Winklevoss also attended the Bitcoin conference and called on President Joe Biden's administration to appoint a new SEC chair before Election Day. Now, the thing is... Oh, actually, let me share this one quote first, and then I'll get into what I was just about to say. Here's an additional quote from a separate article from Trump. If crypto is going to define the future, it's going to be mined, minted, and made in America. If Bitcoin is going to the moon, as they say, I want it to be America that sends it there. End quote. I gotta say, I find it comical and I rather enjoy that he's using our vernacular. To the moon! If only he had said to the moon, so Lambo. That would have made my heart fill with joy. If he had moon and Lambo in the same sentence. But still, we'll take what we can get here. It's just kind of funny to even hear that from somebody who's running for president. I enjoy it rather. But take a look at this. So Trump didn't match, this is a headline from CNBC, Trump didn't match RFK Jr.'s promise to build a Bitcoin Fort Knox. Here's why. And I don't want to really run through the whole article, but I did want to point out Trump did say something about the United States holding Bitcoin, but nowhere near what RFK Jr. was spouting, which is exactly what I expected here. So just a couple of the bullet points here. Donald Trump stopped short of promising to establish an official U.S. Bitcoin strategic reserve currency during his keynote speech at the 2024 Bitcoin conference. Instead, Trump pledged simply to maintain the current level of Bitcoin holdings that the U.S. already has amassed from seizing assets from financial criminals. There you go. So basically, he said, hey, we're not going to be selling the Bitcoin that we have. We have seized from criminals. So what he's saying is nothing's going to change. This is not... We're not going to take some sort of active approach. I'm telling you, we're not going to do something, which is we're not going to sell what we have seized from criminals. That is a far cry from setting up a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States. Not even close. This is not even close to what RFK Jr. Was spouting. So if anybody thought it was similar or the same, it absolutely is not. He's just saying, well, we already have Bitcoin because it's been seized, and we're just going to keep it now. Okay, and it's a chunk. I think it was 210,000 Bitcoin, something like that, but not even close. That's much more reasonable. I would not have expected Trump, and I didn't. I said it leading up to this. I would not have expected him to say, yeah, we're going to go with this new reserve asset, even though the dollar, of course, is the reserve asset of the world currently. Wasn't expecting it, didn't happen. Now, as far as Ginzler, let's talk a little bit about this. So this is the Senate.gov website, and you can see that when Ginzler was approved, because mind you, the president nominates the new SEC chair, right? And then it's up to a vote. And you can see here, I think where's the part I wanted to show? This might have been it. Group by position. Oh, that's by senator name. Regardless, what you can see is that if you look at group by vote position, like pretty much all the yays, if either 100% or almost 100%. So the Democrats voted in favor of Ginzler. Not surprised. I mean, but politics are politics and it's partisan. I got that. And then Republicans, almost all of them against. That's not surprising, crypto aside. So I'm not going to read into that as far as what it could potentially mean in anything crypto. Not much anyway. But can Trump actually just fire Ginzler? No, he cannot. And so I found a great example. This is from factcheck.org. This is from September 2008, and they were covering a comment from John McCain, who said something actually kind of similar, but you literally can't do that. And so this is, again, a nearly 16-year-old fact check, and it applies absolutely to what Donald Trump just said. So I don't know if he doesn't know he can't do that, or if he knows he can, and he's just trying to get the crowd all excited because the typical person doesn't know this stuff anyway. Whatever. I don't know, but he cannot do it. Now, still, I think that it wouldn't be surprising to see Ginzler, of his own accord, pack up his bags and leave, take his ball home. Because, I mean, he will have lost at that point. He's not going to... I mean, he's already on the path to losing anyway. You see all the losses he's had over the last 12-plus months. The way that he's been reigning over the SEC. But I'm just saying, Trump himself can't actually force him out here. And so take a look at this. Can't be fired, September 18th, 2008. We noticed John McCain saying today that he would fire the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission if he were president. But fortunately for the SEC chairman, the president can't fire him. The chairman of the SEC serves at the appointment of the president, and this is a quote from McCain. The chairman of the SEC serves at the appointment of the president and, in my view, has betrayed the public trust. If I were president today, I would fire him, end quote. ABC News points out that while the president nominates and the Senate confirms the SEC chair, a commissioner of an independent regulatory commission cannot be removed by the president. And at least one such firing in the past was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. The McCain camp told ABC that McCain could, however, make it clear the chairman should go of his own accord. Not only is there historical precedent for SEC chairs to be removed, the President of the United States always reserves the right to request the resignation of an appointee and maintain the customary expectation that it will be delivered, said McCain spokesman Tucker Bounds. And so there you go. Trump said it. He literally can't do it, even though we'd all love that. As XRP holders, doesn't matter what your politics are, we would love to see Ginzler go. That would be in our best interest because he is not looking out for our financial well-being. That's for damn sure. Now, there's this post from attorney James Murphy, a.k.a. Meta Lawman, on X, and he said, who should be the next chairman of the SEC? The correct answer is Paul Grewal. Now, Paul Grewal is the general counsel of Coinbase, so that's the top in-house lawyer over at Coinbase. That would be an interesting pick, and whatever you think about Coinbase, I will just say, I'd much prefer that because he's obviously very pro-crypto. I don't know that there's any odds of that ever actually happening, but I read that and I thought, that would be a good pick. That would probably be a really good pick. Because years of him sharing his perspective on crypto broadly speaking, and obviously working at Coinbase for years and years and years, and being of sound mind. Yeah, that would be such a change. Can you imagine if we ended up liking the SEC because there were a change from the top down? That would be an astonishing turnabout, and who knows? Sometimes crazy things happen. But the current people in charge gots to go. Here's a post from Mike Novogratz. He's a Democrat billionaire who is also the founder and CEO of Galaxy Digital. And he hates XRP. Go figure. Of course he hates XRP. But that's not the reason that I'm highlighting him today. He has a perspective on the topic of pandering, as I promised I'd discuss in this video. And so there is a post from Vivek Ramaswamy, and he said 2 predictions. Number 1, Trump will enjoy a boost from pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto voters that doesn't show up in the polling by at least 1% or more. And number 2, Kamala Harris will now scramble to come up with some phony digital asset policy framework to pander to pro-crypto voters. And so Mike Novogratz didn't care for that post. He reposted it and added his own perspective. Here's what he said. The hypocrisy of politicians knows no bounds. Trump went from disliking Bitcoin during his presidency to now giving it an amazing endorsement, trying to win over the single-issue voters. If Harris, who has had no control over policy from her seat, does the same, it's pandering? Come on! We want both parties on our side. Okay, so some of that I agree with. We do want both parties on our side, absolutely. It's ridiculous this is partisan. The Democrats need to get with the picture and understand crypto is here to stay, and it's a force for good. So I do want them to be on our side in terms of being pro-crypto. I also agree with the first sentence, the hypocrisy of politicians knows no bounds. That's broadly true, but as it applies to Trump, I don't know if he's had a genuine change of heart or if he's just pandering in the sense that he's changing his entire approach to crypto because he recognized a voter block. But here's the deal when it comes to pandering. I hate pandering specifically if politicians are just paying lip service and they're not going to do anything. I despise that. It's like they're questioning my intelligence. I hate that. Now, if Trump is saying this stuff, but he's actually going to follow through. So forget about whether he genuinely likes Bitcoin or not, or crypto or not. If he's not just saying this stuff, but he's following through, that's what actually matters. If he's pandering because he's like, well, this is what the voters want, it's going to help me get elected, and then he's doing what the voters want, cool. And if he's doing it and he's like, he's not completely sold on it on a personal level, but he's like, okay, well, maybe I've learned a little bit. It's not as bad as maybe I thought. I don't know. If he's pandering to whatever degree, but he follows through, I don't care because then he's doing what's in my interest. What I don't like is the lip service that we've seen from the current administration over the last couple months, speaking in ways that sound good, but still not seeing any sort of follow through. And as far as Kamala, what do you mean? Had no policy control over crypto from her seat? Okay, but she's complicit in this. She's certainly not speaking against it. And now that she's the presumptive Democratic nominee, where's the pro-crypto stuff? I'll talk actually more about that in a separate video. But we're like, lip service, yes, but I'll just say this, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people think that Trump, if elected, isn't going to follow through with any of this, or just some of this, whatever. I don't pretend to know for sure, but I will say, given that it is basically, crypto is like, being pro-crypto is basically a Republican Party platform at this point. To see Trump come out as strong as he has for Bitcoin and crypto broadly speaking, I would be shocked if there weren't positive material changes. I really would. Now, on the flip side, if I hear lip service, I'm going to be more skeptical of that on the other side, given the Democrat effective party platform of being anti-crypto. Why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be more skeptical of that? And especially with Kamala, who has been complicit in this and basically silent in all the negative crypto stuff that's been happening throughout the Biden administration. Why wouldn't I be more skeptical of that? Of course I am. So these things are not the same. Pandering's pandering, and yes, you're going to get it on the left and the right in politics, duh. And politicians, yes, you're going to see hypocrisy, sure. But when it comes to crypto, like when the rubber meets the road, who is going to be doing and pushing for things that are in our best interest? I have confidence in one candidate and not the other so much. And it's only reasonable. I genuinely believe that here. So we'll see what happens here. And as far as single issue voters, he says, Trump's just going for single issue voters. Maybe some of them, but there are also people who can be pushed over the edge because crypto matters to them. It's not just single issue voters. So I took a little bit of issue with that. But yeah, it does seem to me that on the left I've seen lip service. It just seems like nothing more than lip service. So that's pandering. And if you want to call it Trump's doing pandering, if you consider pandering with follow through to be pandering still, then okay. As long as you see the follow through, I don't care. And you call it whatever you want to call it. If you call promising to do something and following through with that, if you call that pandering, you go right ahead and call it that. I'm not sure that's the right word at that point. I think he's going to follow through, broadly speaking. And Congress, it's not just him, though. It's not just Trump if he's elected. It's Congress. They're pro-crypto on the Republican side. So, duh, right? You guys tell me what you think. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.